Today we are going to make a website from scratch. Now, some of you may have seen some of my other tutorial videos before on doing this. This is a brand new one for everyone to do, and at the end of this session you're going to submit your website into Teams and OneNote, right? So this is a lesson where you have to actually build a website and then you've got to hand it in at the end so that I can check it. Okay, so the first thing we need to do to build a website is we need to know somewhere where we can write the website. Now, there are lots of great programs on the internet or on your computer that you can write a website in. Now, one of them, for example, is called Brackets, and you can go onto the internet. You just go to Safari and you type in Brackets and hit enter, and you get to this page here. And if you go onto here, you can download and you can install a program called Brackets. It's great, it's excellent, it's a really good way to write a program. Or the latest way is this one called Visual Studio Code. So I'm on the Brackets page and it says Visual Studio Code. I can click onto there, and this is a Microsoft program for writing web pages. You can go onto here and go to Visual Studio Code and download it for your Mac or your PC. But the easiest thing to do, and that's what we're going to do today, is find a simple text editor that's already on your computer. Now, if you're using a Mac, you can go to the little search feature and you can type in text edit. So I'm writing in here TEXTEDIT, text edit, and you will see a program here comes up called text edit, and I click on that and you'll see in the top corner text edit comes up. I'm going to hit File, New, and it gives me a blank new window. Now, if you are on a Windows machine, you look up Notepad. You go to the bottom corner, bottom left-hand corner, you go down to the start window, and you look up Microsoft Notepad, and you do the same thing. You say File, New. And we are going to work on the most simple text editor we can use, which is TextEdit or Notepad for today, and they both work perfectly. Okay, so once you've found a text editor and you've opened up a new file like I've just done, I'll show you what I did. I went File, New on my Mac, same on your PC, you start a new file. The first thing we want to do is we want to save our file. So we're going to go up to the top left-hand corner on the Mac and to the same thing for your file save on your PC, and we're going to go File, Save, and it's going to ask us how do we want to save the file. Now we're going to call the file your name. So I'm going to call mine nick.html. They're the key letters, the HTML. Tells the computer what sort of file it is. So in here you can see I've got nick.html. Now you want to save it with your name, okay? So it might be sarah.html or peter.html or muhammad.html or, I don't know, sally.html. You save it with your name .html. No spaces, no gaps, nothing else, just your name, and then you hit save. Now, it'll say, do you want to use text or do you want to use HTML? And we're telling it we want to use HTML, right? So HTML is the kind of file that you find on the internet, okay? So we want to use a file that the internet understands because we're building a web page. Okay, now we've got a blank page right here and we're going to start writing our first web page. Now, a web page document, I just told you, was called HTML. So what we can do is we can actually do a greater than sign with an exclamation mark, and we could write doc type. Oops, I might do that in capital letters. Oops, TYP, doc type. And then I'm going to do HTML. So I'm telling it that it's an HTML document. Now, I want to start by doing my web page. Now, web pages work with the greater than and the less than sign. That's these two here, greater than and less than. We use these a lot, okay? And when we use these signs, they're called a tag. Now, with the tags, you always have something in the middle written inside of here, and you normally have an opening and a closing, like a beginning one and an ending one. And what that does is that tells the computer this is where something starts, and then you tell it where it ends. Okay, so if we're going to start our HTML page here, I'm going to start with HTML. So I've told it that's where it starts. Okay, HTML, that's where it starts. Now if I want to tell it where it ends, I'm just going to hit return. I do the same thing, except I put a backslash in there as well. And the backslash tells me that's where my HTML ends. So I'm saying my HTML is going to start here, and then I'm going to say my HTML is going to end there. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I want you to think of a web page like a human body. Okay, so a human body has, we have heads and arms and legs and a brain, and we have our body, okay? So a web page is kind of the same as a human body. It has a head at the top, so we're going to do open a new tag, and we're going to write head, and then we're going to close that, and then we're going to actually write the close for the head section, so greater than with a backslash head. Okay, so this section in here is going to be our head. We're going to put some stuff in head, like our name and our heading and some information. We're going to put that in our head. It's like the brain section of your web page. Then we need to have a body. So we're going to put a body section. We open it there. And then I'm going to move all the way down the bottom here, and I'm going to close my body down here. So you can see with tags, they always have an open and a close. And this head one has an open and a close, the body has an open and a close, and it's kind of like a person. It's got a head on top and a body down the bottom. Okay, so the head bit is the smart bit. It's the thinking bit at the top up here. So the thinking bit, well, the first thing we want to know is, what is our name? What do we call ourselves? What are we going to call our website? So we open a new tag and we write title, and we close that, and then we do the closing one that goes after it, because remember, tags always go together. So this is title with a backslash. So I've got title that opens there. You can see it opens there, and then it closes here. And inside, in between here, we're actually going to write the name of our website. So I'm going to write Nick's web page. So now I've given my web page a name, which is called the title. Okay, so that's going to be in the title section in there. Now, if I save this, so I go File, Save, and then I go to my desktop, because this is where I've saved it on my desktop over here, and I double click this file here, it'll open up in a web browser, which you can see it's done. But there's nothing on the page. Even though I've given it a title, there's nothing on the page. And in fact, if I click this button here to show that I've got tabs, you know how sometimes you can open 2 or 3 tabs. I'm going to open a tab. Now you can see I've got Google open here, but here I've got Nick's web page. So when you give an HTML a title, you don't see it on the screen. All it is the little title that comes up the top on the tab at the top. Okay, so the title that I've put into my web page here, this section here inside the head, Nick's web page, that comes up as the tag at the top of the screen, as the tab on the top of the screen. But I actually want it to come up on my screen as well. So I'm going to go down here into the body, and the body is everything you see. So think about it as the head's where all the brains are and all the thinking goes on, and the body is everything that you see, okay? So in this body down here, I want to put a heading in. So I could write Nick's web page. It seems silly that I've written it twice, but once is for my tag and once is for the page. Now if I save that, File, Save, now I go and double click on my file again. Now you'll see it says Nick's web page, okay? And if I look at my tags again, it's up there as a tag on here, as a tab on the top of my page. There's my tab, Nick's web page, and I've got the heading on my page, Nick's web page. Okay, so I've got it there twice and it seems to be working. Now, I might decide that I don't just want it as little writing. In fact, I'm going to just leave that open for you just here to have a look at. If I just make this small and I move this over to the side here, you can see here's a preview of my website and here's the actual HTML that I'm writing. Now when you look at it, I don't like this little font here. I want it to look bigger and bolder and better. And so what we can do is we can make this like in Word or PowerPoint or one of those, we can make it a heading. And to make a heading on a web page, you do greater than H1, close that bracket. So you can see I've put an H1 tag in there. Now I need to close the tag because remember tags always come with a beginning and an end. So I could go here and I could go H1. Oops, I need to do the backslash to close it. H1, close my greater than. Now I've made that into a heading. H1 means this will be a bold heading, H1. So if I hit save, Command S, I go back down here onto my web page and I hit refresh. You'll see now it's gone to a big bold heading down here. And in actual fact, there's lots of different H numbers that I could use. So if I copy all of this, I'm just going to highlight that and I'm going to copy all of that, edit, copy, and then I go down to here and I paste it again, edit, paste. And this time instead of having H1, I'm going to change that to H2, H2, and I'm going to put this as another heading. I'm just going to change that to say another heading and I save it. Then I go back to my web page and I refresh. Here you can see here's another heading, but this one's an H2, so you can see it's a little bit smaller, the font is smaller, the size is smaller, and it's just not as big. That's what an H2 is. Now you could do that all the way up to H6. So if I copy that again, paste here, I'm going to do that again, paste again, paste again. So I've pasted it in 3 more times. I'm going to make this one an H3, beginning and end. I'm going to make this one an H4, beginning and end. And I'm going to make this one an H5, beginning and end. And in fact, you can do one more, which is an H6, beginning and end. Right, so now if I save my file, I go File, Save, and I go back to here and I refresh my web page, you can see the different sizes in the headings. They're going right down to very small. Okay, so this tag, the H tag, is how you do a heading on the page that you'll see on the page. Now I don't want all of these other ones, so I'm just going to highlight them and I'm just going to delete them. I don't need any of those headings. I just wanted to show you that you could do different size headings. But what I do want to do is I want to write some information about me. This is my web page. I want to write some information. But I don't need it as a heading. I just need to write it like normal words. And so what we do when we want to write normal words is we use this one called a P. And the P represents paragraph. And of course, if I open a paragraph, I need to close my paragraph as well. And then I'm going to write my words in between in that section in there. So I might write in here, hello world, exclamation mark, welcome to my web page. My name is Nick and I live in Abu Dhabi. Now, you don't have to type as fast as me. You can take your time and type some information about yourself. I might write, I was born in Australia and I played Australian rules football called AFL. Okay, so I've put in a paragraph of information about myself. So I've got my H1, which is my heading, which says Nick's web page. Then I've got my P, which is my paragraph, telling me all about myself. And I'm going to save that, File, Save. And now I'm going to go back to my web page and I'm going to refresh. And there we go. Look, you can see here's my webpage. Hello world, welcome to my webpage. My name is Nick and I live in Abu Dhabi. I was born in Australia and I played Australian rules football called AFL. So you can see my webpage is already starting to come together. It's already starting to have some personality and have some identity. So this is good. I'm pretty happy about how my webpage is going. And all I've done really is written a few lines of writing. I haven't really written very much. And I'm already getting some writing. Now, there's a few little things that I want to add to change my page. I would like to change the background color of my page. I don't just want it to be a boring white page. I want the whole thing to change color. Now, I need to think about where could I put some information about the color. Now, remember I said the head section is the thinking section and the body is where you see all this information. But my head wants to think about, okay, let's think about which color. So I'm going to put my color information in my head section up here. So I'm just going to press return a couple of times, give myself some space. And I'm going to open a new tag in here and I'm going to call that style. Same as you might have a style when you wear clothes, you might wear certain clothes, you might have your own style, or you might have long hair or short hair, or your hair in pigtails, you have a style. So a web page has a style as well. So I'm going to start with my style just here, and then of course I have to close it because we always open and close our tags. So I'm just going to move that down a couple. So in here I've now got my head, got my title in here, and now I've got a section for style. Now the way style works is you have to tell the web page which section you want to add some style to. So if I want to add some style just to the paragraph, what I have to do is I type here and I go P and then I do 2 curly brackets and then I need to write some information in here about the style. So maybe I want to change the color of the writing in the P. I chose the P because that's the P for the writing. So if I want to change the color in the writing, I could write color, and you have to write it the American way, C-O-L-O-R, colon, and then I could type the color that I want, blue. And then I could put a semicolon at the end. Okay, so P, color, blue, semicolon, and I save that and I go File, Save. Now I go back to my website and I go refresh, and all of a sudden my writing has turned blue. So in my style section, I've said I want to style the P part, which is down here, the writing, all of this writing inside the P, and I want to make that style blue. Okay, great, that's good. I might want to style the heading part as well. So if I want to style the heading part, I'm going to go to a new line, and remember I want to style this H1 heading part. So I'm going to write H1, 2 curly brackets. Inside that I'm going to choose, maybe I'll choose a color again, color, colon, this time I might write red, semicolon. Then I'm going to save, File, Save, go to here, hit refresh, and my website now has a red heading with blue writing under it because the H1 is the heading, right? It's down here. H1's the heading. H1's the heading. We're adding style to that. And the P is the paragraph down here. So we're adding style to the paragraph as well. But what about if I want to style the whole page? I don't just want to style those sections. I want the background color to change colors. So I've got to think about if I want everything to change. I want the whole of everything to change. Well, I know that my heading is inside the body, and I know the paragraph is inside the body. So what happens if I change the body? So I'm going to go up into my style here. Remember, the head is the thinking area, and the style's where we're going to put some style in. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to write body. So I want to change the whole body. I do the 2 curly brackets, I hit enter, and this time instead of writing the word color, I'm going to write background dash color. right? So I've written, and you have to write exactly the right way or it won't work. And remember the American spelling of colour. I do a colon, and I'm going to write purple, semicolon at the end. Then I'm going to save it, file save, go to my website and hit refresh. And all of a sudden, now I've got this purple background colour. Now, it's hard to read my blue writing on there, so I might go back into my style here and say, I don't want blue writing there anymore. Now I want white. So I'm going to change it to white, save that, come back here, refresh my page. Now it's a bit easier to read that. Now, you could choose any colour you like. Okay, you can choose any colour of the writing you want, you can change any colour of the heading, and you can change any colour of the background if you want to do that. Now there's something else that I think I want to do on my web page. If I have a good look here, here's my web page. It's kind of all over here touching the left hand side, and I don't really want it to touch the left hand side. In fact, I think I'd really like to put it right in the middle here, right at the very top in the middle. So what I'm going to do is but wait a minute, I don't want to change just the heading, I want to change everything. So if I remember in my style, I don't want to change just the paragraph, I don't want to change just the heading, I want to change everything. So if I want to change everything, I'm going to go into my body, because remember the body goes and everything is hidden inside the body, right? So I'm going to go to the body section here, and I'm going to write something in here that's going to change my writing. I'm going to write text dash align, A-L-I-G-N, colon, and I'm going to write center. And then I'm going to put a semicolon, and I'm going to hit Command S to save, or I'm going to hit File Save. Then I'm going to go to my page and hit refresh, and have a look now. Everything, because I did the body section, is in exactly the middle of the page. If I could draw a line right down the middle of my page, there's my website heading, and there's my writing, and it's not all pushed up against the side. So by making little changes to the body section, I can actually change everything. So that's pretty good. I like doing that. Now, the other thing is, I didn't choose this font. It chose that for me automatically. All right, so I'm not sure if I really like that. So what I might do is I might choose a different font. Now this is a difficult one because on the internet they only use certain fonts. Okay, so I kind of know one, so I'm just going to try a different one and show you. But if you wanted to change the font on your web page, then you might need to go on the internet and look at which fonts. This is how you do it anyway. You type font dash family colon, and I'm going to write Helvetica. Now I know that that's a font that I like. It's called Helvetica. So I'm just going to put Helvetica there, and I'm going to hit save, file, save. Now before I refresh it, let's have a quick look. Have a look at the word Nick. You can see that at the bottom of the word Nick, there's like little legs coming out at the end. Or if you look at, let's have a look, the hello. And if I can zoom in on the hello, see how the hello has little legs coming off the top? They're called serifs. Okay, so now I know that Helvetica doesn't actually have those serifs. So let's refresh my page and let's have a look. And now look, if you have a look at the top of the bottom of the N, see how it doesn't have those little legs? And on the H, it doesn't have the legs. So it's a different looking font. It's a different kind of font which takes off the legs. Now, if I want the legs back again, I could just delete that, or I could choose a font family that has those serifs. But I wanted one without those little legs, all right? So I chose a font called Helvetica, which doesn't have those legs. So that's pretty good. And you'll notice I didn't just change the paragraph or the heading, I changed it everywhere. So I know on my web page, all of the fonts are going to be the same, okay? So that's pretty good. Now, what's next? Let's see. I might want to list some things that I like. So I'm going to go down here into my body. So remember the head sections where we do all the thinking and we choose the style and those sorts of things. But the body is where I put content, where I put things in that I want people to see. So I'm just going to start down here and I'm going to write, I would like to have a list of things that I like to do. So I'm going to start with another paragraph, and I'm actually going to go bracket, greater than P, less than. So I'm starting a new paragraph here. I'm going to write, these are things I like. And then I'm actually going to close my paragraph right there. Just going to say close the paragraph. Remember, if you've got an opening tag, you have to have a closing tag. And I'll just put an exclamation, put in some semicolon in there, colon in there, right? Colon there. So these are things that I like. Now, I would like to do a list. So if I want to do a list, there's a special one of these that I can do for a list. Okay, and there's two types of lists I can do. I could do a list that is in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it's in order. Or I could do a list of just random, doesn't matter what the order is. And that's called an unordered list. A list that's not in order is called an unordered list. Now I think you might be able to guess what I'm going to write in here. I'm going to write UL, unordered list. And then I need to close it, remember, because in tags we have to have an open and a close. And so now inside here, I want to put some things that are going to be in my list. Now I can't just write them in here. I can't just write 5 things. I have to tell the computer that this is a list, right? So I've put my unordered list and my first list item. So I've put a new one of these in here called a list item, and I need to put a close in at the end of it because it's a tag, list item. Right, so my first list item I'm going to put in here is I might put wakeboarding. So I like wakeboarding. So that's my first list item. Now I want to put 2 or 3 others in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do it the quick way. I'm going to highlight that one, including the list item tag, and I'm going to say edit, copy. Then I'm going to go down here, I'm going to press Command V and paste it, paste it, paste it, paste it. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 list items inside of my unordered list, which is inside of the body of my web page. Okay, so let's change this wakeboarding. So I like wakeboarding. I like baseball. I like, let's see, basketball. I like my PlayStation. And I like computers. So now I've got 5 things that I like inside my unordered list, and these are my list items. So I need to save it. So I hit File, Save. Go back to my website and hit refresh, and there are my 5 things in there that I like. But look what happens here. This time I don't want them in the center of the page. I actually want them over on this side of the page. So now this is a bit confusing because I want these things to be aligned to the left of the page and not aligned in the center of the page like my name. So let's see, how am I going to do this? Well, I know this is an unordered list. It's got the UL here. I could go up to my style and I could do a new one of these here, and I could put UL, unordered list, do the 2 brackets, and then I could put in here align. And in fact, I could do text align, same as I did before, text dash align, colon, and I could put left. So I want it on the left-hand side of my page. Now let's have a look if I go Command S, save that, back over here, refresh my page. Now these things are lined up on the left-hand side. So I'm going to go over that one more time so you see what I did. Down here in my body, I have an unordered list. That's that whole section here. UL is the start, UL is the close, and then I have list items in here, things that I like. Now, I've decided in my style at the top here that I want my unordered list to line up on the left-hand side of the page. So now if I go over here to my web page and I've refreshed it, you can see those things are lining up on the left-hand side of the page. But you'll also notice that they're black and not white. Now remember, I've told My paragraphs, they all have to be white. My headings, they all have to be red. My body, I haven't told anything about the colour of the writing in there. And my unordered list doesn't know what colour it is supposed to be, so it's making it black. So I might decide that I want to make all of my lists in green, say. So I could go in here to my style and I could type colour, colon, green. Oops, I need to have to spell it correctly. Semicolon, file, save. So now only my unordered list should be green. And there it is. It's gone green. Now this is an unordered list, so it has dots next to it. But I could really easily change that into an ordered list, which means it has numbers next to it. And all I need to do is change the U to an O, and then the closing U to an O, which now says to me ordered list, ordered list. And then I would change my style for that here to an ordered list. And I hit save, file save, go back here, hit refresh, and you'll notice that it's now got numbers next to it. So an ordered list will give me numbers next to it, and an unordered list will give me just dots next to it. So that's all it will do, is it'll give me some dots next to it. I'm going to change it back to an unordered list because I don't need those numbers to be there. I just need it to be just to have the dots. Okay, I'm going to save right there. File, save. Now I'm just going to pause here for a moment and ask you guys to try and get up to this stage here. If you need to pause your video, if you need to rewind your video and watch it again, this is what I would like you to be at right now. I'd want the heading of your web page with the title up here, saying what your web page is, the title. I would like a couple of lines of writing about you, and then I would like an unordered list with at least 5 things that you like to do. They can be anything. Now remember, if you need to go back and watch the video again, you can do that. Once you're at this stage, make sure you've saved it. It should be saved on your desktop like mine is over here. Then you can start the next part of this video. Alright, welcome back to the second part of the video. I know this has been a long video, but this is your computer lesson for the week, so you need to make sure that you're working along with this and you try and get yours done and then submit it. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to add a picture to your web page, and we're going to add another page, so you've got 2 pages with a button on it, and the button is going to link to your next page. Okay, so we've made this page here already to start with. So now what we want to do is we want to add a second page. So we go to our text editor and you say File, New. Now you don't have to close your old one. You can leave your one open. And you're going to say File, Save. And you're saving your new page. And you're going to call yours Nick 2. Or you can call yours Sarah 2 or Sally 2 or Muhammad 2 or whatever your name is with the number 2 at the end. Then you need to make sure you put html.html and you save it to your desktop as well, so it's next to the other file. So it's going to have the same name with the number 2 next to it. And we hit save. And remember, we're going to use HTML. Now, similar to the first page, we need to have certain things. There has to be some stuff in your web page to make it work, okay? So I'm going to put the same thing I put at the start, exclamation mark, doc, oops, I'm going to do it capital letters, doc type, space HTML, and that tells the computer it's an HTML page. I'm going to open my first tag and put HTML, and then I'm going to close that tag again with HTML, and I'm going to move that down to the bottom. Remember, so I can have my heading and my information on the inside. Same as we did before, this time I'm going to put my head in there, and then I'm going to close my head because we always close our tags. And oops, see, I make typing mistakes too, right? Then we need to have the body. We open the body, and then we close the body again, and we're going to move that down so that we've got our web page ready. Okay, so now we've got a head and a body. And what you'll notice is that all web pages have a head and a body. That's just what they have, okay? They have a head to put all the information in and a body to put all of the content that you want to see in. Now I want to put a title on this page, same as we did with the first one. Open my title, close my title. In between the heading in here, I'm going to write Nick's web page 2. Just put the number 2. That's all I'm going to put is that as my title. Now, for my heading on the page, I'm going to put H1, same as we did before. Close my H1. And in here, I'm going to put welcome to page 2. Okay, so now I've got Nick's Heads page is going to be on my tab at the top, and welcome to page 2 will be what you actually see on the screen. Okay, so I'm going to save that. File, save. If I go to my desktop, here's my page 2 here. I should double click on that. It'll open in a browser. Welcome to page 2. Okay, so I can look at my tags at the top. If I click on this tab, it says Nick's web page and it still looks the same. And then I can go here, welcome to page 2, and it's there. Now, I'm going to leave page 2. I'm not going to do any styling to page 2 at all. I'm just going to leave it. I'll show you where you do the style again. Remember, in the head, you open up here and we do style in here, and then we close the style again, like so. And then we hit enter, 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 and then we can put our style inside of there. In fact, I might do one just to show you. Let's do body with the 2 curly brackets, and let's go text align, text minus align, and let's make that center. And let's save that, go back and check my page 2, and there it is, welcome to page 2 is aligned in the center. Now here's the problem that I've got. I've got my page 1 here and it looks great and I'm pretty happy with it. And I've got my page 2 here and I could add lots of information and things on there. But how do I get from page 1 to page 2? It doesn't really seem like anything is working there for me. So I need to add a button or a way to get from page 1 to page 2. And this is an interesting one because this one doesn't have an opening and a closing really. It's kind of a bit different. It does, but it's a little bit different. So let's go back to our first page. So I'm inside the body still on my first page. Here's my body. I'm just going to zoom back a little bit so you can see it a bit better. So here we go. I'm inside my body. I've got my heading, my paragraph, my unordered list. Now down the bottom here, I'm just going to put a few returns in so I've got a little bit more space. I'm going to put in one here that has an open with an A, but I'm not going to close that yet. I'm not going to put the less than sign on there yet. Now an A stands for the word anchor. And an anchor means this is a point on the page that's going to sit here and it's waiting for you to do something with it, right? It's waiting for you to make something happen, okay? So what we do is we write in this word, href. Now href essentially means hypertext reference, which means it's a way to jump from one web page to another web page. So in here I'm going to write href equals, and then I'm going to do some inverted commas, 2 inverted commas in here. And I'm going to write the name of my second page. Now if you remember, my second page was called nick2.html. So that was my href. So that's where I want to link it to, is to my second page, nick2.html. So I've written open A, put in this word href equals nick2.html. Now I'm going to close that bracket. So I'm closing that greater than. Now I need to have a word in here that tells the person, click here to go to page 2. So let's write that. Click here for page 2. And then I'm closing my A. So I'm closing my anchor. So I'm still doing an open and a close for my anchor, except this time inside the A section in here, I'm putting this little href section in here. Now I'm also going to highlight all of that and I'm going to say edit, copy. Okay, now I'm going to save my page, file, save. I'm going to go to my first page and I'm going to refresh it. And here you'll see, it's really hard to see, there is a blue word here. It says click here for page 2. Now, if I click that, it'll take me to page 2. Even if I don't have it open, I'm closing that tab, I'll go back on my browser. If I click here, it takes me to page 2. So I've just made a link to go from one page to the next page. But I need a link to go back again. So I'm going to go into my second page. I'm going to make sure I'm in the body section here. And I'm going to paste that one that I copied. And I'm going to put paste. Except I don't want it to jump to H2 this time. I want it to jump back to Nick. So I'm going to change this HTML just to nick.html. And I'm going to write, click here to go home. Okay? So click here to go home. It should take me back to my first page. I'm going to save that, file, save. And now I'm going to go to my web page. I'm going to click refresh. Here's my link. I might change my background color so you can see my link better. So I'm just going to go up here to my style and let's change my whole page background color from purple to yellow to, let's see, yeah, let's try orange. Purple to orange, save that. Right, so now I go back to my page, I hit refresh, here's my page. You can read everything and here's the link. If I click on this link, it takes me to page 2, and then here's the link to go home. So click here to go home, and I can go back. So now I can go back and forward between my 2 pages, and I can send myself from one page to another, and I can see how it all works, all right? So that's creating a link. All right, let's go to page 2 again. We're pretty much finished with page 1 for the time being. Let's go to page 2 again, and I want to add one more thing. Now in here, I want to add a picture. I want to put an image in. And the image is similar to this A link. You need to write something inside it before you close it. Now, what image am I going to put in? I don't know. I don't know what image I'm going to put in. So let's go to the internet, and I'm going to go for a new window in Safari, and I'm going to look up Mercedes-Benz. Let's put SLS, and I'm going to hit enter in there, and I'm going to go to images. Okay, so I'm going to pick a picture that I like. Yeah, that one's pretty cool. I like that picture right there. It's a grey one with a white background. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to say download linked file, or you guys know how to do it, so I can just drag it and put it on my desktop here, and there it is, right? So I've dragged that picture on there. Now, at the moment, it's called unknown.jpg. You can see the name of that file. Now, this is the important thing if you're going to do an image. You need to know the exact name. I'm actually going to click on it and rename it. And I'm going to call it Merc, M-E-R-C.jpg, J-P-E-G. So now I know that's called merc.jpg, and it's next to my 2 files that are right here. So I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to open a new bracket, greater than. I'm going to write img, which means image, and then I'm going to write src equals, and then 2 inverted commas. Now, src means source. So what is the source image? What is the image that you want to put into here? So inside those inverted commas, I'm going to write merc.jpg, exactly the same as I can see it over here on the screen. And then I'm going to close the bracket. Now, image is one of the only ones where you don't need to open and do a close. You just have to have this first one open and then close the greater than. So that's all I need to do on that one, and it should be all working perfectly. So I'm going to save my file, file save. I'm going to go to my website, and I'm going to refresh my website, and there's my picture, and it's come up on my screen, and that's really good, and I'm happy with it. So the image that I've downloaded is now on my website here. Now you don't have to download an image. You could take a photo of yourself and you could put your own photo on the website if you wanted to do that. But that's a bit dangerous. And remember, we're not putting these photos on the real internet, so that's okay. The only person who's going to see them is me. But if you're doing the real internet, don't put your photos and your name on the internet together. You shouldn't do that. Okay, now there's one more thing. At the end of this picture, the click here is next to it, and I don't like that being next to it. So there's one more command that we can learn, and this one is called a break. So if I go open my greater than, type BR for break, close my greater than, that's it. A break is like you hitting return on the computer. So I'm going to save that. File, save, go back to my website, hit refresh, and now you can see that it's returned my link down to the bottom of the next page. So that's all we're going to do on our website today. We're going to do, here is some introduction, an unordered list, a link to the next page, and then a picture on your page and a link back to the main page. That's a lot. Now there's a lot there. Now, what I would like you to do after you've done that, if you've finished your page, which you should have done, you should have watched this video through a couple of times, you should have 2 pages and maybe an image. What you're going to do is you are going to go to your teams. So I'm opening up my teams. You're going to click on your team and make sure that you go to the right team. Now I'm going to use Year 6 CW for example. You click on Year 6 CW, you go into the Files section in here, and there will be a folder here called Website. Now this one I haven't done it yet, but there'll be a folder in here called Website, and what you're going to do is you're going to drag your 3 files and you're going to put them into that folder called Website on the files. Okay, so that's really important that you guys do that. Okay, so I can check your work so that we can make sure that you're doing the right thing, that you followed the video, or if you need help, then I know that I can help you with that. Okay, so I'll show you one more time. You go to Teams. You go to Teams on the left-hand side. You choose your team. I'm using Year 6 CW as an example. Once you've got your team, you go to the top in the middle of the page and you click Files. Now in there, you will find a folder called Website. You're going to click and drag your 2 websites and whatever image you've got, and you're going to put it into that folder, okay? So that's where you need to put your work. Then I can go through and I can check your websites. Now, one last thing. You can make your website as good as you like. You can put lots of different colors in, you can put lots of images in, you could write lots of writing, you could do an unordered list and an ordered list, you could do lots of different links, you can add extra pages if you want to do that, you can do fancy headings. I don't mind. What I do want you to do is make sure you've done the parts that I've shown you on here. That's really important. And the second thing is, I want you to write all of your website yourself. I don't want you to try and use a different program to help you or any of those things. I want you to try and write the website yourself using a simple text editor or notepad, and that way you learn to type this to make the website, plus it helps your typing. Okay, if you have any problems, contact me on Teams. Bye.